Alright, sorry for this weird construction here. I have a dual camera set up so that you can hopefully see everything that I want to talk about, which is the ROG Xbox Ally. And this is the Xbox Ally base edition. So not the big version with the X, where you have a better processor, more RAM, more storage and stuff like that. This is the base edition that I bought refurbished for, I think it was like 450 or 500 euros tops, not more than that. So a really good deal. And now after a little bit over a month, maybe 2 months of using this, completely replaying Hogwarts Legacy for the second time, and now I'm still playing Witcher 3 and I have many hours already in. I basically for the last 3 weeks, every night I played at least an hour Witcher 3 and then during the day a little bit more. So I do have a pretty good idea. The camera has a hard time to kind of focus on the black screen. I will switch this on in just a second. So maybe hold it like so it won't get out of focus. I have a really good idea about this gaming device, which is why I am feeling very confident to give you a review about this device from, let's say, casual gamer, over 40-year-old gamer's perspective with a very clear use case in mind. So let me paint a picture first and give you a baseline what kind of gamer I am. I am over 40. I'm actually already getting close to 50. I have lots of responsibilities. I don't have a kid. Still, the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more things you have to consider during the day, and therefore your time available to play games is quite limited, to be honest. So that's the first thing that you need to know about me. The second thing that you need to know about me is I'm a huge advocate of utilizing these handheld devices to kind of utilize as a, maybe that's too big of a word, but I think it describes it quite well, as a mental health tool. So the older you get, the more responsibilities you have during the day. And there are a lot of things weighing on your shoulder and that you have to keep in mind. And when you are very stressed out, it is sometimes, in my humble opinion, really important to find hobbies that kind of disconnect you from these responsibilities in order to get back to those activities, to those responsibilities with a fresh mind and therefore a new perspective. For example, I train Muay Thai, I spar a lot, I ride a motorcycle. Those things are very important to me because if you're not in those moments, you get hurt. If you are sparring and you are thinking about your work, you will get hurt, or you potentially accidentally hurt your training partner. And the same thing holds true with motorcycling. When it comes down to handheld gaming, for me, I utilize these as I said, as mental health tools to reset my brain. If I just doom scroll, if I take a break, for example, I don't smoke, but I imagine it being like that. You go for a smoke break, you go outside, you light up a cigarette. Your mind is still at work because that process in my mind is not active. You're just standing there and nothing occupies your brain. With gaming, opposed to, for example, as I just said, smoking or doom scrolling, or watching a movie, and that happens to me quite often. I watch Netflix and my mind drifts away. With those, in air quotes, passive activities, it is very easy to just stay connected to whatever is worrying you, whatever weighs on your shoulders. When it comes down to gaming, you're very actively playing a game, you're very actively consuming a story, that, like in Witcher 3, where your decisions, how you want to kind of steer the dialogue, is affecting the game. Therefore, you're actively in that game and you can switch off your brain. And when you enter one of these handheld devices that my camera is having difficulties to focus on because the screen is dark. With these devices, it is so easy to keep them here at my work desk or wherever you are, and just take a 10 to 15 minutes break, take this out, play a little bit of the game that you enjoy, and then switch it off. And more importantly, with a hibernation mode, you can switch it off and start right or leave off at the position where you are and then switch it on again from hibernation mode and then continue where you have left off. With consoles or PC gaming, personally, I didn't have that much success to integrate that kind of gaming into my day-to-day life, because with my PlayStation or my Xbox, I always needed to either consider is someone else in front of the TV, then I have a smart TV. I need to boot up the TV. It takes a couple of seconds. Albeit not that much, it adds up. Then you have to switch on the Xbox or the PlayStation. Then you maybe are unlucky, then you have to download an update. And suddenly those 15 minutes that you just wanted to take a short break are gone. That is why I love these handheld devices. And this ROG Xbox Ally really helped me to do so. So with that out of the way, you kind of know where I'm at with these devices. And that is why I really thought, also because I'm a casual gamer, I play for story only. For example, Witcher 3, I'm playing at the easiest story-driven mode. And therefore, yeah, I can consider myself a casual gamer, and I thought, okay, let's get the good deal instead of spending a little bit more and get the Xbox Ally X to have more frames or whatever, or graphical fidelity. But I thought the base model would be good enough, and I was not mistaken. So this is the review. Let's switch this on, and then I can, while I'm talking, you can already see how fast this boots up in comparison to maybe a console and a TV. And the first thing that I can tell you is a negative, is somewhat of a negative. You have a fingerprint scanner here. Let's see if this works out, but the fingerprint scanner is somewhat of a hit and miss. Sometimes it works, yeah, obviously now it works, but usually it sometimes is a hit and miss. Sometimes it doesn't work, and then you need to opt to go into the PIN code, which is not a big deal, but still something that I wanted to mention, especially maybe if you get the Xbox ROG X, Ally X, the more expensive one. If I would have paid for that more expensive one full price, I would be a little bit annoyed if the fingerprint scanner would be not on par like my phone, for example. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Next up, before I show you a little bit more of gameplay, I switched all of the graphics, be it in Hogwarts Legacy or in Witcher 3, in low. But I do feel it is totally fine. The graphical fidelity, I also had a Switch 1. I did not play Witcher or Hogwarts Legacy on the on the Switch 1, but I saw some reviews and the graphics, they were terrible. And I feel even in low, the graphics for Witcher 3 and Hogwarts Legacy, especially on this smaller 1080p screen, which I am playing in 720p resolution, it still looks amazing. It is looking really good, and I always get around, I would say 40, 50 frames per second. So in Hogwarts Legacy, I noticed some stuttering, but it did not kind of deter me away from playing the game. And in Witcher 3, I actually never had any stutters, so it works really well. You can see, hopefully here, it's now at 46, 53. I have 78% battery left. And more importantly, I am actually always playing in turbo mode. So 20 watts in processing speed. And maybe you can see here also what I have CPU boost on. So in terms of processing power, I switched it to always high mode because I know I'm playing at home where I have a power outlet pretty close by. And I can get always about 90 minutes of playtime every night in turbo mode without a connection here. So if you keep that in mind, the battery life, obviously, if you keep it in turbo, isn't that great. I know that maybe on other devices you maybe get 4 hours or whatever, but I always play at home, and as I said, I use this as a tool to kind of jump in for a couple of minutes, or at night for an hour to max 2 hours, but then I have a power plug pretty close by. So in terms of battery life, yes, it's probably not the best, but keep in mind I always play in turbo mode, so that is really good. Then let me just play. I find it a little bit difficult to play and talk at the same time, so please excuse. Maybe I will record some gameplay later on when I don't have to talk. Kudos to all of the streamers who can talk and play at the same time. It is really difficult, so let me get to pause again because I'm having a hard time to play and talk. So in terms of battery life, as I said, not the best, but this is, for me at least, not something that I would walk around with. But I also always have a power bank with me anyways, if I would be walking with a backpack. This is not something that you would kind of keep in your hands or in your pants pockets, right? So if you have this in your backpack, you probably also have some space for a power bank. So again, battery life is mid-range, but I always play in turbo mode. Witcher 3 isn't stuttering at all if you put it to low and 720p output, because the screen is really small and it still looks amazing. The screen is beautiful. I really like it. And I also have been playing not necessarily outside, but next to a very bright window, and the screen still is bright enough. I would say if I would be in Jakarta in bright sunlight, I would not see anything, but that would be a very hard case. For, let's say, playing in the shade and indoors, this is bright enough. And again, I really like this screen. It is beautiful. One thing, one big caveat that I need to mention. Let me just show you. If you go into really deep play through and you want to read some of the books, for example, you see this, the text is really small. It is possible to read, but I guess if you're older, you wear glasses like I do, it is hard. It is hard to read. So I did not, you can see here actually, I did not read any of the letters because it just, again, it is possible to read, but it is very tiny and it is honestly a little bit exhausting to read the text. Unfortunately, Witcher 3, while it is really easy to read the subtitles and to read everything that is important to actually play it comfortably, these, if you really want to dive deep into the story, and for that you need to read the books, you need to read the letters, that is hard. That is really difficult. But anything else, subtitles, I don't know, reading text of descriptions. For example, let's see here. I can't go into inventory. So here, for example, these texts for the quest, that is easy to read. That is not that, this one. Because there is a lot of, the line breaks aren't that close to each other. But text like this, that's a little bit harder, to be honest. In Hogwarts Legacy, I did not have any issues reading, but in Witcher 3, I did notice that some areas, the font, although I already put it to big fonts, it is hard to read. That is definitely something to keep in mind. But other than that, the screen is beautiful. The ergonomics of this handheld device, for me personally, as a long-time PlayStation user, when I switched to the Xbox, I did understand why so many people said that, I don't know about the PlayStation 5 controller, but PlayStation 3 and 4, I really liked, and then I switched to the Xbox controller, and then I understood, oh, okay, that's what people are talking about. That is why people really like this controller, because with PlayStation, these dual sticks are like in the same height. But on Xbox, this is the first thing, they are kind of like, how do you say it? One is on top, one is on the bottom. The D-pad that you usually don't use that much is here at the bottom. So it's not really symmetrical. That works really well. And having an Xbox controller now kind of pulled apart and put a screen in the middle, it is really comfortable in your hands. And I do have small hands. I'm only 1 meter 70 centimeters tall, short. So I'm a tiny person actually in comparison. So for my small hands, this works out really well. And it is extremely ergonomically friendly. I can play for long times. It doesn't bother me at all. And if this is getting a little bit heavier and I'm sitting on the couch, I can kind of rest it on these bottom parts on my legs. It works out really well. And even if I have it kind of resting on my legs, I don't, how you say it, block. Oh, did I push something? No. Don't block these fans. So my legs usually cover this part, but the fans are not blocked. They do, you notice them, but they aren't kind of like blasting away and kind of interrupt what you're listening to. So the fans are noticeable, but not to a degree where I would say this is a deal breaker. Speaking of noise, these speakers, front facing, they are amazing. It really, the way these are placed, although you would think this is not far by much, let me just turn this down a little bit again. Even though they seem close by, they actually are very good at creating a stereoscopic sound presence. If you put it, I always have it at about 20, it really sounds like it is coming from ear to ear. I don't know how they did that, but I'm amazed about the sound quality that comes out of these tiny speakers and the way they are positioned. It sounds really, really good. What's not sounding really, really good are these buttons. So I don't know if you can really hear it. Maybe. Let me just... Do you hear that? They are very, not very, they are a little bit noisy. They are not that great when it comes down to, noise, I need to repeat. This is not a device that I would use when my wife is sleeping next to me in the bed. This would be very annoying if I would be sitting next to her and have to kind of fight some drowners or whatever and have to kind of button mash the X button. This gets really annoyingly loud. Definitely something, where I kind of would have wished this would be better. But other than that, these buttons, the trigger buttons, the D-pad and these analog sticks, they are really good. So in terms of gameplay, all of the buttons are great. These buttons, these 4 buttons, are a little bit noisy. In some reviews, I heard that they did not like these 3 buttons here because we have this extra Xbox button. Some people said that they didn't know how to press them or kind of press the wrong button. I wholeheartedly disagree. I mean, this one is big and I never had any accidental presses when I kind of moved this and then got to that. Never had that happen to me. So I honestly don't really know what people were talking about when it came down to this 3-button array here. I know this is Xbox. I know this is Armory Crate. I know this button gets me to the save pause menu. Never had any issues. For me, these smaller buttons work really, really well, and I can easily distinguish what I'm pressing. So if you're worrying that you accidentally press these, personally, I never had an issue with that. yeah, I think I covered everything that I wanted to. Oh, one thing. A thing that people, when I watch reviews, and as I said, I'm a casual gamer. I'm used to console games, and the ease of use of an Xbox or a PlayStation. In some reviews, they said this is not an Xbox. This is a Windows machine. And with that feedback, many reviewers said, keep in mind you will need to do lots of updates, and you need to do updates in 4 different places. So Windows updates, Windows apps updates, Asus updates, and then Armory Crate updates. So 4 places where you need to update. And when I got this device, yes, I needed to do updates, and I actually kind of blocked a whole night. I did know when I received this, I will not play right away. I need to do all of these updates. I actually got the package in the morning. I did one update, put it to the side, did whatever I had to do during the day, next update, and I had just let it run the whole day. You need to keep that in mind. But many people also said that Windows, Armory Crate, Asus, and the App Store will willy-nilly do the updates, maybe during your play session. And since my first update session, I've never had this happen to me. Granted, Witcher 3 is running on Steam. I did notice that whenever I play Witcher 3 in the Steam application, these buttons, so Xbox and Armory Crate, sometimes didn't work. So it was kind of like Steam was, okay, I'm steering the ship now, and Armory Crate and Xbox, you have nothing to say, so these buttons did not work for some reason. So I have been in the Steam store and in Witcher 3 for a couple of weeks, and I do know that there has been an update for the Xbox Ally within the last 2 weeks. Never ever during this whole time, since the first day that I updated it, did I have a prompt which says, update now, I need to interrupt your gameplay. That never happened to me. So don't know if I did something wrong or whatever, but I'm really happy that I can just play without having to update yet. So if you're worried about that, I would say yes, it could happen. But if it happens, yeah, you just do it. But most of the time you can just play. So finishing this up, the verdict, I love this device. I would say if you are a casual gamer, or even if you are a gamer and maybe you're looking for a cheap, not a cheap, but if you can get this for 450 euros, this is a steal. And again, this is refurbished. I bought this used, and it works perfectly. I don't have any issues with it. I love this device. As I said, it is a perfect mental health tool in my humble opinion, because the hibernation mode, you need to set this up to hibernation mode. Actually, when you receive this, the power button is not set to hibernation, but to sleep. And when it goes to sleep, while it boots up faster, it actually drains the battery in sleep mode. So in Windows, you need to set the power button to act as a hibernation mode button. And if you do so, you can leave, you can play, push the button, it goes into hibernation, and when you push it again, it will take about, instead of sleep, it will take about, I don't know, 20 seconds longer to boot up, so overall 30 seconds to boot up, and then you start right away where you left off. It works perfectly, and in hibernation mode, it won't drain the battery that much. Or not at all, from what I have noticed. So then it becomes the perfect tool to keep here at your work desk, stop working, play for 15 minutes, switch it off again, continue working with a fresh mind because you kind of drifted away from whatever you had to do, and you dove deep into the story of Witcher 3 or whatever. For that, this is amazing. And if you can get it for 450 refurbished, I'm pretty certain that you can get it cheap refurbished, then go for it. It is amazing. I love this device. The ergonomics are great. The processing power, again, if you put it to low graphics, which in my humble opinion still looks beautiful, it works great. Buttons, yes, they are a little bit louder, but it sounds great. The fans are noticeable sometimes if you have it all of the time in turbo mode, but you still can play for 2 hours. or maybe 90 minutes. Yeah, great. I love this device. Highly recommend it. All right. Let me know in the comment section below what are you thinking about this Xbox Ally, and do you have a handheld device like this as well? For those of you who comment, oh, why didn't you get a Steam Deck? The Steam Deck was my first choice, but the Steam Deck refurbished with only 64 gigabytes here in Germany was 200 euros more expensive than this one. Again, I wanted to get the Steam Deck, but it was very expensive compared to this one. That is why I bought this. So let me know which device you have. And if you have any questions, also comment below. If you enjoyed this video, maybe check out one of my Witcher reviews up here. YouTube thinks they like the video down here. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking the button up here. That way we see each other in the next video. Thank you very much.